crucial meeting, political meeting that he has with the leadership of that county when it comes to MCAs, governors, senators, and also members of parliament. Now, away from that to another story where the county government of Uasin Gishu has maintained that they do not have money to pay nurses and clinical officers even after a month-long conciliation talk. The nurses' strike has proved to be a wild goose chase after the employers insisted that there will be no penny for their promotion. Elvis Kosgei now speaks to CEC in charge of finance in Uasin Gishu County to get an in-depth perspective.
Thank you very much. We're coming to you from Eldoret in Uasin Gishu County. We'll be engaging CPA Julius Ruto. Matters the tough economic times occasioned by the coronavirus pandemic. Thank you very much, Bwana CC, in charge of finance. And I understand amidst the advent of coronavirus pandemic, we've witnessed tough economic times, the issue of cash crunch. Of late, we've also witnessed civil unrest where nurses, clinical officers have all been demonstrating all over. Maybe what is the bone of contention here?
Thank you so much, Elvis. It's true, as you've asked, the current situation our nation is facing is a bit difficult, although it's not scary. We don't want to scare our people because, as we are aware, as long as the government is running, activities, business is running, of course, revenue has to be collected. The challenge that we are facing now is actual collection of what was targeted in terms of budget, what was projected to be collected is a bit not clear, it's shady at the moment. Understanding the situation that we've been in as a nation, of course, not only as Kenya, but of course all over the world, we've had a serious pandemic that has caused depression in our economies, global economy, and Kenya, we have not been spared all along. And this, it carries a lot of meaning. For us as devolution, of course, we did our budgets, we did our programs, basing on a normal projection, a normal situation, that the economy will be stable. However, of course, remember when we were doing our budget, we started our budget in the year 2019-2020. Then at that time, pandemic had not arrived. But by the time 2020 calendar year, we were just commencing, a declaration of pandemic came in, and all protocols, health protocols that were observed by globally are to stop business. Of course, remember, like Kenya, most of our trade, we trade on imports and exports majorly. This is major most of our revenue earners, foreign exchange. So we have to rely only on some few areas of our production, the productivity area that could generate our revenue, and now we are straining. Remember, as Kenya, of course, in the last 15 years or 20 years, we've invested so much on infrastructure with an objective that as we are progressing, it begins to pay back. So all this infrastructure we finance through debt. And most of these debts are matured. And as you know, the principles behind the debts is debt comes first. Even as we are doing budget, whatever we are collecting, debt comes first. And as it comes first, it has depleted available cash to be shared, of course, to be transferred to county governments. And as we talk, as we were closing last financial year, county government received their last tranche of June for the last financial year of 2019-2020. That is started closed in the month of June 2020. We received in the month of August. What does that mean? It means delayed in terms of payment, delayed in terms of service delivery. And as a responsible government, of course, as an officer for finance and economic planning, I always have to advise the other departments that please let's live within our means. We don't procure unless we are very certain that the resources are there, because you can risk procuring, and at the time of service has been delivered, the supply, of course, has engaged financing of the said good or service. And it means what? It means we might end up having a pending bill. Of course, this person could have borrowed money, used a bank overdraft or a bank loan, interest is running. So what we do is we try to balance within the means. That is the behavior that we have now adopted, even as we are talking now. It is the new normal. And it's good to tell Wananchi that all of us, let's understand and appreciate each other. What we are doing is to encourage Wananchi, even as a county government, please, let's plan and comply to pay revenues, because we enable our governments to serve us. Now, as you are aware, we faced a lot of challenges in the recent past. Of course, in some few months ago, our nurses, our clinical officers have gone on strike, demanding a lot of attention on their needs and dues. Some of them, as a government, as a responsible government for Uasin Gishu, of course, we had to plan. We did a supplementary budget towards the end of last financial year to prepare ourselves with the pandemic. One was to provide sufficient PPE kits for our healthy workers. These are the care workers that we needed to fight. They were front runners. They were they were the front people, front liners, I mean, in terms of assisting Kenyans. You know, it was scary. So in that moment, we did a supplementary. We had to close, we had to shrink some projects, provide resources, we procured the PPEs. However, as nurses and clinical officers over the country, they are now also demanding additional, that we need additional risk allowance, you know. But to say the truth, where we are as a county government now, and of course, even as Kenya, we are facing a challenge. We don't know where to get these resources, and we are asking and calling upon them. Let us be reasonable, let us dialogue well, and understand the situation we are in. Yes, we have goodwill, and we understand what they need. But the means on satisfying what they need is becoming a challenge. And therefore, we are calling upon them, please oblige to the responsibility that you swore in to support Kenyans, you swore in to serve Kenyans. Let's go fast, Kenyans first, as we think also as a responsible government on how to compensate what we can. But what I'm emphasizing is, let's live within our means. It could be not practical, it's not practicable for what they demand now to be achieved. When you talk of promotion, like now they're asking for promotion, remember it comes with cost. As we talk now, most of the budget of Uasin Gishu County government in personnel emolument, over 50% of my personnel emolument goes to health workers. And you tell me today to review their terms in terms of promotion. It means terms will increase. I was calculating it require a tripling of our budget estimate in terms of personnel emolument by more than another 40%. Because of, as you have scaled their job group, and the related allowance and the risk allowance they want. And in this case, it means I'm going to stop doing any other project and only focus on health. And as I focus on health, remember now the other sectors like agriculture, which is so essential in terms of food production, would still require resources for them to be able to produce and for them to sustain our economy. Remember, the economy of this region also relies so much on agriculture. And this is an area that we want to strengthen to enable our people generate revenues, to enable our people generate household income for them to depend on themselves. So in essence, what I'm saying, the situation where we are in is difficult. Even as we are talking now, this current financial year, you are aware that last week is when the CS, Treasurer Ukuru Tane, said it's now releasing the tranche for September and October. So remember, we are in the month of January. We've not received it for November and December. What does that tell you? It means now we are struggling in terms of operation right now. If you visit our yard, we don't have funds to put our vehicles to move. So mobility of our vehicles, fuels, and you remember we are now trying to bring back roads that were withered out during the rainy season. Now we are facing all these challenges. So if we are now awaiting the national government, that is the National Treasury, to disperse the tranches for November, December, which we don't know when. What does that tell us? It tells us we are in a difficult situation. Okay. Yes.
Lastly, Bwana CC, I understand that Uasin Gishu is targeting close to 1.2 billion. Maybe is this a tall order, or as county, are you excluding confidence that you'll manage?
Well, several studies have been done, have been carried out by National Treasury, by Bureau of Statistics, and other several quarters of research. And it has established, all of them are proven in Uasin Gishu we have a potential to collect up to 2 billion. What we are doing as a county is to try and find a way out of reaching the same target that has been studied and it has been proved that we can collect. One, by ensuring we engage the citizens. Yes, we know we have a budget of around 1.2 trillion to collect in our revenues. There's a target for the current financial year of 2021-2022, of 2020-2021, sorry. Now, in that case, wananchi, on the other hand, are still complaining of the effects of COVID-19. Of course, you know Kenyans, the way we behave, whenever we have a small challenge, we want to run that out of an excuse. But what we are doing is we are building much on citizen engagement. So what we've done now, we send our officers on the ground with tents, we pitch tents all over. We want to talk to these people. And we are using our own mechanism of visiting person to person, understanding your challenge. We come and talk. How much can you pay now? How long can we give you to pay the others? Because if they are not going to raise this, if they're not going to pay this one, we may not raise sufficient resources. And that means what? It means we are not going to provide service to an NG, because we rely on these funds to run the operations of the government, because all operations relies on source revenue, so that the national disbursement from National Treasury will focus on development.
Thank you, Elvis Kosgei, for that. Now, Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya has officially declared he will vie for the presidency in 2022, promising to win over the other presidential candidates, as he has been in leadership for long. Declaring his interest to be the country's 5th president, Oparanya said it is time for ODM party leader Raila Odinga to support him, as he has helped Raila garner millions of